Hello, everybody. Welcome to a well-aged
Hmm.
episode of Fade to Obsidian. Uh, again, we have Sylvain Neuvel with us, and
Hi,
as always, I
Sylvain.
am Crescent, joined by Skipper.
Hello.
It's been a hot minute since I've done an intro, and you can tell
I don't think, have done an intro in 2025.
that is legitimately possible.
Yeah. We've taken a little bit off this. You were, I think, our last episode, and then we did a International Women's
Oh
Day
yes,
episode that Crescent
yeah,
was not
it's a
invited
great
to.
episode. It's a
Oh,
great
thanks.
episode.
Yeah.
It kicked you
Uh,
out of an episode?
we did. Yeah.
I am not a woman.
Yeah.
It only
We
seems
had
fair.
we had all the female podcasters that do all different Red Rising podcasts.
That
So
is
we did
cool.
that. Yeah. But yeah, we had planned to have you back on almost directly after last time we recorded. And then, I don't know, life got in the way.
Life did a thing, and
Yeah, we're here now.
Oh, it was a
It's fine.
great thing you didn't. I got had many things happen. Among other things, I got sick, but like beyond
Oh,
belief.
no.
And coughing my lungs out, but I coughed myself into a herniated disc in my neck.
oh my god,
And I couldn't move, I couldn't sit, I couldn't
Oh,
sleep,
my
I couldn't do
God.
anything. And so I, went through a gazillion bottles of pills until I saw
Yeah.
more specialists. And then they gave me these weird ass pills that stop the nerve receptors in your brain from registering pain.
Ooh.
Uh,
like
Okay.
gabapentin, something like
uh,
that.
I think it's called Lyrica. And the
Lyrica.
weird
Oh,
part is
Okay.
it doesn't do anything the first time you take it, so you can't really dose it well at the beginning because it takes a few
Ooh.
days for your body to like absorb enough of it to start doing the
Yeah.
thing. Then you have to it takes like 2-3 weeks to just gauge the dosage. And then you take it for a while, and then you need to wean down because you can't stop right away because you could, I don't know, it's dangerous. Uh, but the weird part is it does really well. It works really well. It stops the nerve pains, but it sort of hits a little, casts a wider net, let's say,
Mm.
than what it should do. So you're kind of a, like, I don't know, 10% zombie
I
most,
was about to
like.
ask if we were gonna like, would we have gotten some funnier answers if you were on that?
No, you would have
No, you
gotten
just
like the
like,
same. Well, no, you would have gotten like half the same answers
mm,
in with a 30-second delay. Uh,
okay, yeah.
yeah.
Well, then I'm glad
things
we
take a little longer to percolate.
postponed and yeah, excellent.
Yep. Still in pain, but not high on
Not
pills.
as much.
Just
But
Okay.
enough to fix a pool.
Yeah.
yeah, reasonably tipsy though. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, you have
It
gotten
sounds like it
ahead of
mixes
us
well with
today, which I
alcohol.
love. What are you drinking? What do you have in your little glass there?
Uh, okay. So we up here are, as many Canadians are trying to steer clear of American products
Yep.
and replacing them when we can with Canadian products. But there's some areas where the not buying American is sort of easier than the replacing with Canadian thing.
Right.
So we're like California cab drinkers
I
here,
know that's
and
what I'm missing as well as my California
yeah, so we
Reds.
I gave up on like the good wine that I used to buy, and then we tried to sort of Canadianize it, but it with
Niagara does
limited
not
success.
match. Yeah.
So our money went to Spain instead,
Oh,
where
there
we are buying the Marqués de Riscal
you
by the case.
go. Ooh.
So
There you go. You fancy.
the Marqués knows what he's
Nice.
doing.
Okay. I like it.
Yep,
Gets
Yeah.
the job done.
Yeah, I feel
absolutely.
that California Red is also the one thing I'm like missing of our
Yeah.
the boycott. Yeah. Crescent, what do you have? After that, it better be
Well, I have
Canadian
I
or
have a
Scottish.
I have a Molson Canadian product, simply peach lemonade,
All right, I'll give it
and
to you.
and also European product,
Yeah, there you go.
Talisker Dark Storm from the Isle of Skye.
I assumed it was
There
going to be
you go.
Scottish for you. I'm
I
true
was there.
local.
Was there last year. When was I there?
That
Oh
Ooh,
no,
was
I was there recently
nice.
in geological time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I just have my local brewery. So, Lager Shed, original. It tastes like I'm gonna make a Canadian reference. It tastes like steam whistle. It's actually I think the same recipe as steam whistle. They used to be they used to have the same brewmaster, and then the brewmaster left.
mm,
But anyway, so there you go.
Oh,
Yeah. I was gonna like the moment you guys were like, "Oh, we're so ahead." I was gonna grab out my writer's tier again, but it's fine. I'll just stick to the beer.
did the brewmaster, when he split, say that the owner was like in the Epstein files, or
No, no
no? It
scandals
was
or
a more amicable
anything.
breakup.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's actually here's some deep Canadian beer lore that Sylvan, maybe you would do you remember a beer called the Upper Canada? Like Upper Canada beer? It apparently
No.
was like a big thing in like the 80s and 90s up but like in Ontario. Anyway, that brewery closed and then Steam Whistle. So it's both Steam Whistle and Lagershed are actually using, or Shaunanet is the brewery. Lagershed is the beer. They are using the old Upper Canada recipe. And if you Steam Whistle, which is downtown Toronto, they've got like a very big brewery there. Uh, on all of their beers, it says 3FG for three fired guys because they were fired from Upper Canada when it closed. So they went there and Sean and Ed's got the brewmaster. So they are not technically competing with themselves, but they all started at the same brewery, which was Upper Canada Brewery, and then they all got
Hmm.
fired. So that's the story behind that. Yeah. That's where I spend most of my days reading because they have the I love when the brew like the machines are going. It's just the perfect like white noise to read to. So that's where I hang out often. It's
Cool.
walking distance. Yeah. So there you go. All right, we'll jump in now that we've covered Canadian
Booze.
alcohol. Yeah. I
and
like
also
it.
European.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Uh
fancy.
yeah. I
Yep.
will do disclaimer for this one is so last episode we did Themis Files full spoilers. We're gonna until the end when I have kind of some questions about all of your works. We're gonna try and keep this Themis Files safe. So if you haven't read Themis Files, people don't have to worry. And we're gonna focus on at the moment Take Them to the Stars, and then at the end we'll get people who have not read everything. They can leave. That's no longer our problem. And we can ask
I
questions, if
mean,
that makes
I'm
sense.
gonna try and keep this Take Him to the Stars fairly spoiler free. Well,
Okay.
I mean, there'll be plenty of spoilers, but none that will like ruin the entire thing, you know?
I like that. Okay. We can definitely do that. Yeah.
And I
But
mean,
I,
just to clear the air, there's no, they're all dead people. I see dead people, Darth Vader is your father type of thing in those
yes.
books. So, yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Is Sylvain Neuvel an anagram for M. Night Shyamalan?
It's Nisfremifreme.
Mm,
Oh, naturally.
Sylvain Neuvel is an anagram for Nisfremifreme.
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. I like it.
Glad we.
Yeah. Well, to kick it off, like the story of what inspired Themis Files is pretty well known. What inspired this series? Like, what inspired Take Them to the Stars?
Well, I was going to make a second robot toy for my son. No. Uh, I, so, writing the Themis files uh, and then the test. I had this idea for a book or a book series or whatnot, and I wanted to like write in a universe where I could have the same characters over centuries, millennia, whatever. And like, how do you do it? So there's some easy ways. You make your characters immortal, and so, but it's like, okay, they're vampires. I could do that. Someday I'd love to write a vampire book, but I didn't want to do that.
Ooh,
That was not,
yeah.
you know.
For it.
So I could do a science-heavy vampire book, though. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be
But
cool.
Ooh,
um,
sci-fi vampires? Hell yeah.
so yeah, so couldn't find it. Took years. Couldn't figure it out. At some point, I'm I'm kind of an extreme nerd, so I read shit for no reason that no sane people would normally read. So I read a
Okay,
science
you're in good
paper
company here.
on a fish from Texas called the Amazon molly.
Yeah.
And see, I just spoiled the provenance of the fish. It's not from the Amazon, it's from Texas. It's called the Amazon molly because, like the legend of the Amazon molly uh, tricks males of similar species to mate with them. Uh, and then biologically sort of like squishes out everything that that had anything to do with the male, and all that is left in the embryo for the baby fish is mom's DNA.
Interesting.
So the weird part is that they actually need the male for whatever reason to start the procreation,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, none of the male genes survive, so it's all the mother's genes and 100% of them. So basically, that fish self clones since the fish
Yeah.
existed. So super cool. If you pick today an Amazon molly from the water and you pick another one, it's essentially, at least from a genetic perspective, the same fish. And if
Right.
you fished one, like picked one 100 years ago, 200 years ago, or 1,000 years from now, assuming nothing weird happens to it, it's still the same fish. So it's kind of amazing. And I thought,
Yeah.
this is it. That's it. I got it.
That's
I
perfect.
get to, have my
Yeah.
fish and eat it too. I could write a story with characters that are different, like a
Yeah.
product of their time, depending on which millennium, century they were born in, but also the same on some level.
Mm-hmm.
So is the most fun thing to write. So I had this plan, and I could write through for like as many decades, centuries, millennia as I wanted
Yeah.
to, and I would write basically the same character, but with slight differences depending on how they were, where and when they were born and how they were
Yeah.
raised.
That's
So
super cool.
that was the inspiration for this.
I love that. So then, out of curiosity, I'm gonna go. We'll talk about the main story in a second, but you do have the kind of insert stories. Were they then written like while you were doing the main thing, or like because there's like the Victorian London one and all of those? It's like, was that just coming to you of like, oh, I've got this super cool like one snippet thing. I'll write it. We'll figure out when to put it in later, or was
Yeah,
it
kind
that
of.
was
I didn't
after? Yeah.
have I didn't have a plan for because there are like these, I guess, interludes between
Mm-hmm.
book sections. So, all right, I got to go back to the
Yeah.
beginning. So the story is about 100 generations of mother and daughter pairs who are genetically identical, who are messing with our history in one way or
Yeah.
another in order to take us to the stars. Hence the title of the series, "Take Them to the Stars." Uh, and so, thought about it, and I decided to start the story in the 40s. And I knew they were going to be, they were going to talk about previous iterations of these mother-daughter pairs, but you do some research and and then you find the most amazing thing and you're like, no, I got to start the book earlier than that, and then I got to start a book earlier than that, and I got to start it earlier than that. And so at some point you're like, all right, I'll just have more flashbacks, but then you're like, that's not enough to just talk about it. I need more than that. So I started writing these. I would come across something and say, oh, that's amazing, I'm writing this. And I would write a tiny story about one generation of these
Yeah.
mother-daughter pairs, like 3,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever, and just say I'll figure out where to put it later.
Okay.
And eventually, I decided that I had just the right amount to put as interludes between book parts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's as someone who studies history, that was, I mean, the whole book was amazing as like historical fiction, when I'm selling it, half the time is how I sell it. I'm like, it's like science historical fiction. But then to
It's
have those little cute like not cute, but like small snippets all the way through that you're like, oh, we're already back here. Or like there's certain ones that just stick out of like, oh, that's cool that that's happening and how that would affect that. Like it was really cool, those little things. Uh,
it's like For All Mankind, but without the limitations.
yeah.
Uh, if you've seen For All Mankind, it's on Apple TV, and it's a sort of retelling of the space race,
Mm,
sort of a what if the Russians had gotten to the moon first. That would have forced the Americans to speed up and not slow down the space program. And where would we be? And so most of it is based on real events. They just don't happen the way they normally had, the way they did happen, and at different, they mess with the years a bit, whatever.
yeah.
What I did was a story of the space race, because that's when I started the book, without cheating with the years or the events or whatnot. It's not a alternate history of the space race. It's a secret history of the space race. I just inserted some fictional characters amongst the real ones. Uh, and I got to also go back a century, or 3 or 6 or 9 or 12 or 14
Yeah.
or 25, which they never got to do. So, aha, For All Mankind.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it important to you then to stay true to like the real characters who existed, or
Important. Um, well, I guess we can get into the main story. So the each book is a different generation. So
Mhm.
they're mother-daughter pairs. So the daughter in the first book is going to be the mother in the second book. So I wanted to end. The reason I started in the 40s because I wanted to end close to now. And it's a great time if you're going to talk about space travel to start, like the end of the World War. Um, so where was I going with this? Um,
staying true to the real characters, like
yeah.
the
So when I started, I don't know if it was important at the beginning, but at some point I gave myself this rule. It's like I like to write under constraints. Sammy's Files was originally 100% unattributed dialogue. The journal entries were added afterwards, but so I like to write under that constraint. You can only have dialogue and you can never say who's talking.
right.
So this book was everything that happens in the book has to have happened for real, has to have happened the way it happened, more or
Okay.
less.
Yep.
Uh, and at the moment it happened. So I get to my fictional characters get to be responsible for some real things that happens, but
Yeah.
the events cannot change. So you start digging through history. Remind me to talk about research afterwards because it was
That
fun.
We
was
have
gonna
a
be my
question. Don't
follow-up.
worry.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So and then you pick the events that you want.
Hmm.
Then you put them on post-it notes, and you're like, shit, there's like 4 years here in between. Do I have anything that goes in the middle? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. If I don't, I need a reason for these people to, like, I don't know, be away for 4 years,
Yeah.
or 8 or 10. And I just plug it in, and then write the book around that. It was super fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. What's the
that was the
research? How
constraint.
does the research work then?
Yeah. Ha.
It was in our
Well,
list, to be fair.
yeah, it's kind of amazing because that I Themis Files was um, you can't tell, but I think it was more research than this historical thing,
Hmm.
because it's shit I don't know, but that no one knows,
Yeah.
and that no one wants to know. So so every little thing that I was looking for in the Themis Files was hard to find,
Okay.
and complicated, and or it was science that had no, like, pop version. So every article was like in the thick of it. There was no, like, introduction to blah, you know.
Yeah.
So History, on the other hand, is like amazing because the people who write about history are historians. Wow.
Wow.
And they're great at keeping records and making them like easily searchable, findable. They're well indexed. You can find whatever. Found stuff from the early days of the American space program where
Mm,
some dude uh, just wrote, I don't know, it's like 120 pages on the step by step of the Russian space program, because that's harder to find. But
yeah.
this one document that has like everything from, because it's not like one, it's not like the Americans where like it's we're gonna put all our money here. The eggs are spread over like 100 baskets,
Right.
and everyone is fighting over who gets which basket, and so but they just really make it easy for you to find. So it was amazing. It was like an enormous amount of work, but it was like being in school again, more or
Yeah.
less, not being like, I don't know, some spy or
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Themis Files felt like doing something illegal 99% of the time when I was doing research.
Yeah.
Uh, the
If
the circle part was fun,
yeah,
but way easier.
if the FBI or the RCMP has to check your search history, which book is more worrisome? Probably Themis Files would be the one that it's like, why are you looking into this?
Yeah, the low altitude elevation map. Well, elevation maps of Syria are a trick.
um,
There's some sort of Google Earth, but that we can't access, but that's only available in Russia that you can get through like yeah, with like a VPN of sort. That's yeah. Yeah, the theme is
I'll look into
absolutely
that.
Sleeping
yeah,
Giants mostly. Um,
so funny.
the thing I'm writing now though involves a serial killer,
Mm.
and that one's bad. That one is really bad. Like
That's
yeah.
you're on a watch list now. I hope you don't have
Oh
travel
yeah. I mean, look,
plans.
searching for how much of this poison and how
Yeah.
much of how long melt body just it's just endless. It's literally yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Noted. Nice. I like it. Well, I mean, talk about space and all your research. At some point when these three books were coming out, as promo, you were doing the web series on YouTube. Do you want to
Yeah.
explain how did that come about and like what you were doing on that? I don't even think
Yeah,
Crescent's
they
seen them.
ruined my career. Uh some yeah, people traveled without a mask and then
Yeah.
everything went to shit.
Yeah, we never got a release
Uh
party. Oh.
no, it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, so I thought Themis did super well, right?
Hmm.
So sold a lot of books. And of course, your idea is to, I'm going to build on that and I'm going to sell more books. Uh, and I love that book. I mean, I really love that book. And I think from a craft perspective, The History of What Comes Next is a much better book than Sleeping Giants. Like, I was really proud of that book. But stores closed. No travel, no nothing. People are buying books on Amazon exclusively, uh, and they're buying a lot of books, but they're buying the same 5 books, right? So I can't really complain because I had a career before, so I still there. People were buying it
Yeah.
albeit at a much slower pace. And some people had worked 15, 20, 30 years to see their first book published, and it happened to
Yeah.
publish at the same time, and they didn't have anything going, right? So that's the biggest tragedy. Even today, I wrote an article about it. It's on my website somewhere, but if you could buy pandemic debuts, just do it, because I mean these people had no shot, like
Yeah.
nothing. You don't get a do-over. If you're with a big publisher like traditional, they the before you publish, your debut is like potential, and that is fine. It could be anything. But once you have numbers, that goes in your Excel file, and once you have an Excel sheet with your name on it, with bad numbers on it, it's not good. You're kind
Yeah.
of like semi screwed. So anyway, comes out with no stores open and with very little fanfare. Like there's no the press is kind of busy because at the same time there's impeachment. There's like it just everything
There
is
was
bad.
so
Like
much, yeah.
Infinity and a
yeah,
half things going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and there's nothing to do. I mean, I did, book launches online, and I hosted the book launches online for other people.
Yeah.
I worked with an astronaut because, I was at a space book. So did the astronaut book launch as the host. I gave a talk to NASA at the Goddard Space Center.
That's cool.
Uh, we can talk
Okay.
about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But still, it's like little things, and it's like you're not that busy. And I'm writing the second book, and now by then, the motivation goes down a lot. Second book was kind of written at that point, but you have to write the third one, and the second book is coming out a year later, and it's going to sell about 50%, like half of what the first book sold that no one heard about. And so now you're writing the book that will sell half of what the book that will sell half of the book that no one heard about will sell. And it's difficult because that's the next like 3 years of your life are spent promoting
Yeah.
something that you love, but that will not break the bank. Like it has the ceiling is now low unless someone makes a movie out of it.
Yeah.
So I am like, I'm going to promote this as best I can. I'm going to make friggin' videos about all the cool science shit that I learned while making the books. And I have the worst case of pandemic hair at the time because we can't get a haircut. Uh, but I made a series of six, yeah,
Yeah. I
short
think so. I
videos. They're
looked them
about
up. Yeah.
5 minutes each.
Yeah.
Uh, about the history of space exploration and the science behind it. And it's accessible to everyone. That's
Mm.
sort of the point. And yeah, it's like a sort of organized collection of cool shit that I learned. And it's also a great introduction to space exploration and science and whatnot for someone who don't knows nothing about it.
Yeah. That's
It's
awesome.
on my amazing YouTube channel, uh, which has, I don't know, the people that subscribe to watch that as subscribers. And also one video of an actual tiny rocket that I flew once, and that for some reason is like 4,000 views in 1 month and then nothing. And it was like, who
People love it.
watched that? I don't know. I have no idea. I couldn't find like a link to it anywhere online, but it's super weird. Still the
The
most
things
watched
the things
thing
the
on my
algorithm
channel.
gets. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll make sure
Um,
at the end of this, it always, oh, watch if you enjoyed this, watch, and I'll do one of the videos for sure, or two of them. Maybe it'll be the rocket one. No, I'll do one of like episode one or whatever you call it of that, so that
episode
people
one.
can watch
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so people can
Yeah.
watch it after they watch this. But yeah, yeah, they
Oh,
were
well,
entertaining. Yeah,
they're
Crash will
super
watch it.
cool. And they're
I'll
like they're
rewatch
sort of
them. It's been
reasonably
4
well done
years.
for someone who doesn't do
Yeah,
videos. I mean, there's like special effects and everything.
yeah.
Uh, and yeah, and you get to make fun of my hair.
There you go. Perfect.
But you can do that now, but I mean, it's more obvious then. Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, no, they were fun when they were coming out. But yeah, I do miss that we never got a release party for it because you have epic release parties and
I
then
do have epic release parties. Yep.
yeah, we'll just have to
No,
queue
we
it up
got
for the
nothing.
next one.
Like I couldn't even go outside because of
I
nothing.
know.
Like, yeah, we weren't allowed outside after 8. It was just everything was bad. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys
Existence
were
was
like
illegal.
full lockdown. We like locked down, but like stay. You guys had like curfew.
Oh no, you
We
needed
had
a
like
dog if you wanted to walk outside
yeah,
after 8.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had
And then there was
we
Saskatchewan.
stayed in. What were you guys doing?
Fuck all.
You guys just pretended
Party.
it wasn't happening.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I went
Yeah.
down to 4-day work weeks. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but like as a bookseller, when that book was out, I was technically employed, but I wasn't going into the store. The store was not open when it came
I
out, or at
remember, and
least
we
like
the and the publisher had bought a table at Barnes and Noble, which is a big deal. Like I'd
yeah.
never had a table at Barnes and Noble, but about half of the Barnes and Noble stores were literally closed. Some of them were open. I remember when Indigo reopened in Montreal, I went there and they had like, 30 employees and literally like one customer. No one was in. No one would
Yeah.
go anywhere in a store. Some of them
yeah.
were open. Some stores were open, but like on appointment.
Mm,
And you could go and buy a book wearing a mask, one customer at a time.
interesting.
And yeah, so I remember raising money. That was the time where I was raising money for bookstores with the grammar
Yeah,
from
you got the
Famous Files.
Academy.
It was horrible. It was horrible for people
Yeah.
Oh
who
yes.
you
Yeah.
know publish books, but it was bad for stores as well. Everything was bad. It was just
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I returned to work and we were doing curbside pickup and there was days I would just lie on the ground. 'Cause there was nothing else to do. I was like employed as a bookseller to lie on the ground because it's like if you place an order I'll go, and then I had to put it in their trunk of their car. They were not allowed to talk to me. It was they had to have the trunk open and I would
Yeah,
place
no,
the
it was
book
weird
in
because
and
once
yeah.
you start we're outside. You
Yeah.
could, handing me a book is not going to do anything, but it's
Yeah.
no,
No.
everything was like, no, no, you need
Everything was,
to,
yep, you had to open the trunk of the car, and I wasn't allowed to legally close the trunks of the car. So then customers were like, "Can you just close it?" And you're like, "No, in case I
Oh,
damage your
sorry, can't.
car." Like it was a
yeah.
whole thing. It was crazy.
First Halloween, we were allowed to go out and do Halloween. It
Mm,
was still like iffy though. So we found ways of handing out candy without handing out
mm,
candy.
yep.
Potato gun.
So tubes were involved. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you must have had a whole setup.
Little bags, and but you wash the
Yeah,
little bags and then you wear gloves and you put them on the table, and
yeah.
yeah. That was at the
It's
time where they were
crazy.
telling us to wash our
Oh
groceries, and yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
crazy
Need
times. It
A UV disinfection light in
yeah.
like a hamster, um, like a hamster habitat that you can like send the bag down
Down the
through, and then it
tube.
disinfects it with the light.
There you go. There's the thought.
It's
Next
only a
5
few
years.
years late. It's fine.
Yeah, it's
We
crazy.
could,
It's been
Prepared for
five
next
we
time.
years.
can work on it. We can, I mean,
Yeah.
trust me, there'll be something else, right? So that
There's
hamster
always
delivery
something else.
system is like, there's potential to it. There's a market.
I don't want
There
another
will be
pandemic.
anyway.
Yeah. All right. To get out of pandemic talk, but still in space, I had one space question. Topical with what's happening. Would you go to space? And would you want the full thing, or would you put up with the like Katy Perry 10 seconds in space and then return?
I mean, okay. Well, I'd do either. I mean, I do Katy Perry 5 seconds in space.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, so I thought it's one of the things. Okay, so there's a fuck ton of science in those books, right? And at the end of it, there's a big part of the book that tells you what's real and what's not
Yeah.
in the book, and you get to learn more about the parts that are real. And if you're doing the audiobook, I'm the one
It's
narrating
you.
that part. So
Yay.
there's like an hour of me at the end of every book. Uh, and one of the things I talk about is the sort of the democratization of space travel, which was a
Mm.
thing that started with it's called the X Prize at the beginning, then it became the Ansari Prize, whatever, that thing. And that gave birth to all the startups you have that are going to space. Like SpaceX was not a contestant, but it's not a coincidence that Blue Origin and all that
Yeah.
sort of were born around that same time. And I thought I could probably go to space for like the price of I don't know, like a Hawaii vacation for like the Katy
Yeah.
Perry version, space,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
hour type of thing. Yeah. But I don't know. It doesn't look like it's gonna be in that price range. So if I see that my health is sort of degrading and I need to make moves faster than
Okay.
than the democratization of space travel allows, I'm gonna do the vomit comet. There's
Oh, yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
yeah, and there's a sort of a commercial version of it.
Okay.
It's not astronauts, but you're in a fancier plane with less vomit. Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
get they clean it
Theoretically,
more often or whatever.
Ugh. Yeah.
Uh, Still pricey, but
Yeah.
it's like that's a trip to Hawaii, for
Yeah.
example. So,
yeah,
and
Nice.
it's like about 30 ups and downs, so you get like 30
Oh.
times
being
Yeah.
weightless.
Yeah.
being weightless for however long, 20 seconds
That's
or
cool.
whatever.
All
Yeah.
right.
And it sounds cheap because it's not like in space, but it's literally the same weightlessness that the astronauts on the ISS experience.
Yeah.
Because they have 90% and change of the gravity of the Earth applied to them. The only reason why they feel weightless is because the station is free falling, because it's in orbit. It's literally the vomit comet, but 24 hours a day.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just
Falling
always
down.
it's
You don't
always in
get the
fall
up.
mode.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
don't
know
get
how
the up.
space works, so I'll just
Yeah.
believe you.
You just need to fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's how the planets change positions too.
Yeah, you just
Falling.
fall forever.
Sylvain, you don't know this, but notoriously when we talk space on this, I don't understand. We were discussing Red
She's like, why is
Rising, and I forgot that, like, oh yeah, Jupiter is not always next to Saturn. Like, in my mind, I was like, what do you mean that would take so far? Jupiter is directly next to Saturn, and it's like, not if they're
not today?
yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah. So
Yeah, it's
anyway,
like what planet is closest to Earth? Well,
it depends on
it
the day.
What day
should
is it?
depend. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Well, the one time I was visiting you, and like Jupiter and Saturn were like way closer than they usually
Oh
are. And I was
yeah, I
like,
remember you were there when we did like
yeah,
some outreach with the telescope, and we had the all the folks super high
from the
on X
rave.
going to the rave in the back. It was amazing.
I
Like,
think my favorite part of that is like almost everyone's just talking French, and then they're looking at, and you just hear in English, they kept looking at me and going, I can see the rings of Saturn. And like that was the only thing in English they would say, and everything else I was like, okay.
I mean, on a regular day, like you take the telescope out, and I'm in the city, right? So you can't see much. Mostly planets, ideally the big ones. So Jupiter, you'll see like colors and stripes, and
Yeah.
it's like you're looking at a planet. It's like whoa, that's kind of amazing. And you
Yeah.
see the moons around it.
Yeah. I think we could see
Very
Oh,
4
that's
cool.
moons
cool.
the night I was
Yeah,
there.
we
Yeah.
could see four moons the night you were there. Uh, Saturn doesn't look real ever. Like
No.
you look at it in telescope or from even like pictures from a space probe or whatnot, and it looks like what a 5-year-old would draw if they were drawing Saturn. It's super weird.
Yeah.
And so people go like, whoa. And I love doing outreach like that. I set up the telescope where a lot of people are going. So, people come with their kids. Can you look?
Yeah.
Can you look? And you say, yeah, yeah, yeah. And once in a while, you see you've changed someone's life, right? They look at you and they're like, I didn't know. I didn't know. Not, there's stuff out there.
Yeah.
And now I'm a different person. Like, you won't necessarily make him a scientist, but you've changed their perception of what this is.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Now you imagine that with like 200 people high as fuck, but like,
Everyone on
I
ecstasy.
mean,
So
I don't know, with people
Everyone.
are
everyone.
like could barely talk, and they're like, "Grr," and then
Yeah.
they look in the telescope and they see Saturn, and they're like,
I can see the
"Whoa."
rings. Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool. That was a fun
That was
night.
that was a great night. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We were just hanging out. Yeah. That's what we did instead of watching all of Battlestar Galactica or me reading the manuscript, is we were doing that instead. It feels
I
more
mean,
worthwhile.
if you gotta pick one,
Yeah.
Look at
Okay.
us.
That's a good
Planets or
option.
Battlestar Galactica.
Well, I mean, look at it this way: if we'd abandoned you, left you behind
Yeah.
with an unpublished book to read, we'd only have been like 100 feet
Yeah.
away.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah.
So close. So close. All right. Um.
Okay, hang
Oh,
on.
what? Okay.
So before we dip out of space, because we have questions that are not about space.
Wait, we're super on track so far.
Give
We're
us,
so on
give us,
track.
give us the story about giving a talk
Oh yeah, at
to
NASA.
NASA.
Oh yeah, because I told you, remind me to talk
Yeah.
about the talk at
Uh-huh.
NASA.
He's on it.
You are good. That's a host. All right. So I'm doing space stuff because I wrote space books. So book launch for scientists and for an astronaut, and then they say, "Would you like to give a talk to NASA?" I'm like, "What?" So the Goddard Space Center is opening its library, and they're going to give copies of my book to the scientists, and to celebrate the
Cool.
opening of the Goddard Space Center library, we're having a talk. And the idea is to have like a non-scientist talk about this, and I mean it fits perfectly, right? And they're supposed to say at the end, like, you got this so wrong that's like absurd. But that was cool about this other thing that I didn't know. I mean, it was meant to be like, like a cool exchange. I love it when like real scientists like trash my work. I think it's amazing. Uh, so I log on, and it turns out the NASA Goddard Space Center uses Microsoft Teams. And I'm
So advanced.
yeah. So I'm logged on, and there's a green room, and I go in the green room, and I see the person there, like the host, and I see like the bazillion screens in a big room where people can be, and still empty because it's early. And I tell the host, "Can you hear me?" And she says, "Yeah," but I don't hear the yes. So I'm like, "I can't hear you. Your mic's not on." And then I lose the video. And then they're like, "We think it's at your end, on the chat." I'm like, "No, I have the NASA thing there. There's a logo and everything, and I have sound and whatnot."
Yeah.
And so they bring in a technician, and we have 30 minutes before the talk starts.
That's good.
And I feel like I'm in good hands because it's fucking NASA,
Is it?
right?
Yep.
But it's Microsoft Teams.
But it's Microsoft. So Microsoft Teams, and then 30 minutes goes by, everyone's online, and then they tell everyone that they'll need to be patient while we figure this out. Meanwhile, I can actually talk to people, so I'm like saying, "Hello, I see you
Yeah.
in the corner," and I'm sweating because my talk at NASA is turning into a nightmare, and it's not like I will get like 6 of those.
Yeah.
So at some point, we figure out a way where the host calls me on my cell and she talks to me through the cell, and then I answer, and I basically there'll be fewer questions from the host, and I just basic ramble, and then we get to the audience question part, and then it turns like into a very, very complicated thing, because there's too many people there. They can't have audio on for
Yeah.
everyone because it like screws up Microsoft Teams. So they have to chat with the host, who will then call me on my cell. And so I gave this nightmare of a talk to NASA Goddard Space Center. But if you skip the nightmarish part, I mean, I
It's
gave a
pretty
talk to
cool.
NASA.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you learn lots of stuff of like what could have been corrected, or was it pretty?
No.
They were like, "Oh no, this is
You're
fucking
on it.
mint."
No, but the thing is, once you reach I have to make a cell phone call to Montreal
Yeah.
to ask a question. The host will skip the you're a moron. Like,
Fair.
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
they'll just
from what I
yeah.
understand, they were the morons in this situation, so they can't. Like they have the low ground.
Yep.
That's it. They can't make fun of you.
If I had the high ground on this, I mean, yeah.
Hey, you could see them, and they could hear you. I don't know. It sounds like you had the high ground.
It was sort of all right. It was.
Yeah.
It went.
They had a
it
bunch of rocket
happened.
scientists, and they
They,
couldn't figure
they
out
didn't like
Microsoft Teams.
cancel it because at some point there was talk of let's cancel this and do it again in a few months. I'm like, well, no, we're not. No, that's not happening. I'm giving a talk to NASA today. This is we're
Yeah.
doing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still very cool to put on your resume.
Oh, that is damn cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that goes at the top.
Yeah.
It's above your name. I gave a talk at NASA, Sylvain Neuvel.
There's a lot of shit that goes above my name on our resume, though.
Yeah. Nice. I love it. Let's talk music, because this series comes with a playlist, which I am obsessed with. So where did the playlist come, like that idea come from?
All right. So I'll tell you the official story.
Okay.
And then I'll tell you the real story.
Okay.
What we're here for.
So, official story is I listened to, God, I don't know, for the first book, for example, probably 600 songs.
Oh my God.
And the idea is that every chapter title is a song title from the year or years or before, can be after, like the story takes place in the chapter itself.
Yeah.
So in the first book, most of the book is in 1944, 1945, and that's why it took a lot of songs, because it's not all good, and a lot of it is sort of sounds the same, and but you have amazing blues and you have like great songs. Like we just need to look for them. And the thing is, finding a good song is not enough, because it was designed so I would write the chapter listening to the song. And when you read the chapter, it's sort of, in some cases, it makes no difference whatsoever. But in other cases, when, like, say, the song picks up in rhythm or slows down in rhythm, well, the action or form of the text would sort of try to follow based on the average reading speed of someone. It's actually kind of cool. It works super well.
Yeah.
So the first book playlist, if you want to learn about like some oldies but goodies, it's from like 1945 to 60. 1, 2, 3, something. Yeah. Book 2 is like it's when music experts will say music was best. So you start in 1968 and you end in 1986. So even the people who disagree the music was better in the 60s are going to be happy, because the 80s are in there as well.
Yeah.
And book 3 was hard, really, really hard, because it starts in 1999. And that has to be the worst year for, like, 99, 2000 is bad. It's nasty. Like, it's really bad.
You tweeted out about that year being like, does anyone, and you rejected my Backstreet Boys suggestion. And I just want to know why you hate the Backstreet Boys.
I'd say that
what did they ever do to you?
If you want to pick the best song of the entire friggin' year, you end up with shit like that. And I mean, it's like a good, it's nice out, we're partying, let's have another cocktail type of thing. I'll do that. But it's not. Also, the mood, right? You can't really, it's hard to set, I'm the 99th daughter of 100 generation of women who died to save mankind from like these psychopaths trying to kill us and aliens and whatnot. And
You're
whatever.
rocking to I want
I
it
have-
that way.
My way.
I have
Tell me
one
why.
argument. I have one argument. with every new generation. Backstreet's back. All right.
But that's
It is.
97 is Backstreet's Back.
But I mean,
I want
it's
Millennium is 1999.
and I'll so well, okay, so that was the official
Well,
story.
yeah.
Anyway,
Oh yeah, that's the official story.
the unofficial story, the real story,
Yeah.
is I didn't write the first book listening to the songs. I really didn't. I fixed a few chapters after finding the songs for those. But it was long before the first book came out. We're here in the living room, and we can't go out, and we're on our, we the drink not drinking during the pandemic with lockdown was like not a thing, right? So
Yeah.
we had sober Tuesday mornings. That was about it. But that night we're like into it, and music is blasting, and we hear Lola by the Kings. And I don't know, I'm maybe a little trashed, but I just see it. I see the Kipsu, they're the main characters in those books. The young one with a katana, just going at it, chopping heads,
Yeah.
spilling blood, killing people. And if you listen to the song, imagining like some psycho 19-year-old with a katana just killing as many people as she can, it really takes a different meaning.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh my God, I gotta write this. So I wrote that chapter before I wrote the book in book 2.
Nice. Well, it's funny because I always it's funny when I sell the book to people, I give like, oh yeah, this is the best. And then I always say, oh, and there's a playlist. Book 2 starts with Helter Skelter. And you just watch people go, oh, right? Like it kind of catches them because like it's such an epic, like known song. And people go, okay, right? That I'm like, book 2 starts with Helter Skelter. And they're like,
Yep.
okay.
And if you know Helter Skelter and you read the first chapter of that book,
Yeah.
you get the
Tense.
pacing and
Yeah.
like you read it without the music even. You can sort of tell where it comes from because so in book 2 I actually wrote every chapter listening to the music.
Yeah.
The first chapter that I wrote listening to the music was Lola from the Kinks. And so that changed everything. And then I went back to the first book and I found the songs. And I listened to the songs while reading the chapters to find songs that matched. And when the song matched but not enough, I fucked with the chapter a little bit to make it fit with the song. But it was like retro fitted sort of into the plan. And in book 3, that's a major, major, major spoiler. But at some point, forget names now. Aster. No, it's in book. Yeah, it's in book 3. Aster. She goes with Samael on to Scotland, Ireland, Scotland. They're on a goat farm.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, it's the sky, isn't it?
all the sky. Somewhere
I'll come back
around there.
around. Yeah.
Somewhere in Scotland.
And they spend like 2 years there. And the reason they spend 2 years there is because I had to get closer to because they work with the New Horizons space probe in this book. Like it's part of the plot in some way. And I couldn't make the book end with the launch. It was too far away, but I had to get closer. And if I made him wait there for just 2 years exactly, I could get better songs for the rest of the book.
I remember before the book was out, you told me that. You're like, oh yeah, because I was there and we were listening to book 3 wasn't out yet. We were listening to the playlist of I think we were listening to the playlist and I was like, I don't know what this book like, whatever. And you were like, oh yeah, and then we have to wait 2 years just so we get this.
Yeah, you get like if you can reach like because you start in 1999 and you're working really 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 hard for good music. So you had to cheat. You play older music from the '90s
Yeah.
and whatnot, and there's Bjork in there and like stuff. But at some point, I'm like, no, I can't do it. So it's one paragraph. It just explains they've been there for 2 years.
Poor cat.
And then you get to have better music because you've hit like 2004. I
Uh,
mean, I could have, you like it ends with the way uh, New Horizons is gonna work because that probe did
yeah.
launch and it did reach Pluto and whatnot. But
Yeah.
yeah, but like I could have made them wait for like 4 years, but that seemed weirder. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love the playlist is one of my favorite things. That was like that for me is almost a pandemic memory of I got really into my oh my god, my stationary bike. I forget what they're called.
Peloton.
Peloton, thank you. And I just do like I don't do the hardcore one. I just set like a city thing and you just go for an hour. And so I actually had the ability of I was listening to the audiobook and would swap back and forth between like, Kate, here's the Spotify, there's the audiobook, there's the Spotify, and there's the audiobook. And like that's a pandemic memory of me of like, okay, I'll just bike for like an hour and just swap between the two. So it really set the scene. I love it.
yeah. I mean, if people have access to both, I suggest like one read, and then if you do a
Yeah.
reread with the music, unless you're super good at reading with music on, but it does have
Yeah,
lyrics.
I feel like
Because
that
I
yeah,
mean,
that's too
some of them
distracting for
like
me.
uh, if you do a second read, some of the songs fit so well. Like, I mean, I made it fit so that there's a chapter called Sweet Emotions in the second
Mhm.
book. And it's one of the best songs. It's like, it's from 1975, right? You could release Sweet Emotions today and it would sound like super current.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're listening to it in the car. And that song has a sort of an endless beginning. It's like a cool bass riff.
Yeah.
And so their mother and daughter are talking, and if the song is playing on the radio, and eventually, well, they're talking about other stuff, but eventually they start singing the chorus together. Ideally, if you read the chapter at the exact pace that I assumed you were going to read it, you end up singing it at the same time they do. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
I love that.
yep.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm gonna have to go back and do. I was
Yeah.
working while listening to the audiobooks, and so I didn't get the chance.
Yeah.
But I'll have to
And
pick
let's
up the
say
written copies and
let's say
and
you
go
don't
through
want to
it.
read those books because you're like, I'm not into space. I hate sci-fi. I don't, whatever. I don't read. I
No
hate books.
history.
Or like,
Yeah.
I hate
You know
you
me.
and books and space and sci-fi, whatever. You should still listen to those playlists. They're really good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're very good.
Yeah.
I listen to the second one especially every once in a while. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just throw this on. It's a good like
I,
road trip one. Like if you have like
yeah.
mixed company in the car that you're like, I don't know what everyone's vibe is. You just
Everyone
listen
will
to.
like it. No
Yeah.
one will dislike the second playlist. Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
because I listen to it a lot. So I'm into the third one more often these days. But like
Yeah.
the bar I go to, well, you were there. But they
You
when
just like run that place
like
now.
half the nights the music is gonna be the playlist from book two. Uh,
I like it. Yeah. No,
yeah.
it's book
Okay,
two.
so easy segue then. Which of the three books is your favorite playlist? Is it book two?
Hmm.
Hmm,
Questions.
that's a good question. The most fun to make was book one.
Yeah, because you get more
Uh,
complicated.
it's complicated, but it was fun. Like you actually learn a lot. Book three was complicated, but I had to listen to a crap ton of like horrible songs, and I don't know. Book two, I
Right.
mean, it's good music, but you can't just there's too many. So it was harder for a different reason. There's too many good songs, and
Yep.
a lot of them would even fit the chapter, and it's just like really it's the best music that was ever made. Uh, so yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, my favorite playlist. I mean, honestly, objectively, book two clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Book one is an interesting thing, but you're not going to listen to it like on every day without thinking about it on repeat.
Yeah.
It's sort of it's like going watching a movie. Let's listen to some old songs, and some of them are super cool. Yeah.
Were there songs that got cut that you wanted to include and you just couldn't
Yeah,
figure out how? Yeah.
yeah, plenty, plenty. I mean, I fit what I could, but it had to fit the chapters, and there were songs that I love. For example, the Themis files were written, I'd say 70% while listening to Pat Benatar because it was the only music that I could
Not
put
Kim
on.
Mitchell?
No, because I mean, Pat would work all the songs. They're like sort of like extra cheese, right? They're like
Yeah.
everything is overly stated and sense. It's like I don't know. It works for a love chapter, a fight chapter, a travel chapter, a bored chapter, I want to kill myself chapter. Like everything works. Pat Benatar
Yeah.
works for everything. There's no, I need to change the music because I'm going to write a fight scene. No, no, that's fine. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, but now it's quiet and she's just misses her mom. Well, same song.
Yeah. I like
Fine.
it.
Pat does it all. Like so yeah. So I mean, I'd have made, three playlists of Pat Benatar songs if I could have.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
But did she get any? Was there any
Yeah,
Pat
there's
Benatar?
some.
Oh, there is some.
Uh,
I can't remember.
I don't know.
They
I
don't
don't know
stick
what.
out as much in my
Yeah.
head.
So clearly it's book two. Let's see.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know. Can't find it.
All right.
There's gotta be a song. There has to be.
There has to be. All right.
There has to be. I wouldn't have made this without
Okay.
adding some Ad Benatar.
Or you're gonna have to go back.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's I think it for most of my questions for that before we get into, I will say, true spoiler territory. Is
Oh
there
yeah.
anything else you want to add for the general
What do I
viewer?
want to add? Well, the I would add if you're I mean, if you're considering trying an audiobook at some point, all of mine
Mhm.
are really good.
Yeah.
Uh, they're all multicast. This one is sort of unique because it's kind of amazing. The audio people in the UK. So this is published by Tor.com on paper in North America, and by Michael Joseph, which is Random House in the UK, which is the same people who published the Themis
Yes.
Files.
Beautiful cover.
So I changed publisher in the US, not in the UK. The audio people remain the same because they will like share the cost, and so they hired the because big studio to do
Yeah.
a multicast production again, and because it's you have a mother and daughter pair in the first book, but the daughter will be the mother in the second one. So you have many ways of doing it, right? You can change everybody
Yeah.
because now the daughter is older, so her voice would have changed. But they're clones, right? So
Right.
they're so technically, unless she smokes a lot, the daughter will have exactly her mother's voice at her age.
Mhm.
So it kind of jives that you just switch. You know,
Yeah.
the daughter plays someone new in every book, and the mother plays her daughter
I love it.
every time
Mhm.
around. So, and who better to do that than an actual mother and daughter? So they found voice actors, a mom and her daughter. And like right before recording, they had to back out because one of them got sick. So what did they
Oh,
do? They found another pair
resources.
of voice actor,
Perfect.
mother and daughter, because apparently it's a thing. Like I don't know, it's there. You can find it, and they're amazing. They're like
They're so good.
amazing, and they're amazing like in every way because they're from they're both theater actresses, and the daughter is doing like more modern stuff where stuff is
Yeah.
sometimes whispered and things are heartfelt. The daughter is more like classic theater where we do things, loudly and clearly, and we do it on
Yeah.
stage so everyone can hear. and I don't know, it's a very different feel when they narrate together. But the production is, I mean, it's super cool.
So
And
good.
in the first book, not only do you get the what's called further reading on paper, which is the part where I explain to you what's real, what's not, and I give you a little more about the history and science. Uh, so you get that, but you also get like a 30-minute interview with the mom and daughter voice actress
Yeah.
talking about what it is to work with your mom, playing your
That's
mom.
awesome.
Yeah.
I
So
love
it's
it.
a good one to try on audio.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the only one I didn't do on audio.
Yeah.
No.
I think I'm trying to think. I think I only got an arc for the first one, so I already audioed all of. I got one arc, but all of them I've audioed at this point because I just know that all of your books, it's worth doing audio as well as physical read.
I like how I got involved more and more when we did Only Human.
Mm.
I had to voice. Well, I sent like a file so that the voice actors could follow my lead on the alien language, and they ended up using
Oh,
my voice. So I'm
that's
Ekim,
cool.
Eva's boyfriend, and I forget his name, the guy who runs the soup kitchen where Eva
Yeah.
works. So I'm two aliens. But it's short, it's like 10 sentences. And I went from that to like an hour and change in every book, but I'm not
Yeah.
acting.
I
Yeah.
like it. That's awesome. I don't know if
To
I
get
knew
like,
that you were in the other ones. I'll have to go back and listen now. I don't think I knew that you were in Themes Files. I only knew you.
oh yeah. Well,
Huh.
it's a, blink and miss it
Yeah.
participation, but
Interesting.
Next one, you're going to be voicing a whole character.
Yeah. They're going
I
to have
like
you the whole
how, they
time.
sell it to you as, well, we saw your like, because they asked me to send notes and I sent written notes on how to pronounce the language and I'd written a grammar for it. So I was like, it was sort of easy. But then
Yeah.
they're like, we could use, some audio cues. So I recorded every line and I sent it. And they said the response was, well, your pronunciation is obviously correct and your audio is great. So we spoke to the voice actors and we thought it would be best maybe if you voice these two characters. Would you mind? And they sell it to you as a compliment, but
Yeah.
like my understanding is it's like they have these voice actors they've hired and they all of them look at this and they're like, fuck that shit. I'm not
I don't want
not touching this with a 10-foot
to.
pole. What do you mean? Yeah. Uh,
That's so funny. That's great.
yeah.
Did you do any in the test or no kindness too soon? Have you voiced
No,
in there? No.
the test is solo. It's
Right.
my only book that is not multicast, but it's my only
Yeah.
book that is not a novel. So all
Mm-hmm.
my novels are multicast so far.
Yeah.
And No Kindness, no. But again, they had me help in choosing the cast. They
That's
always
cool.
do that with audio, which is kind of cool.
That's very cool.
I
Yeah.
mean, and it makes sense too. Like, if you've got, a thought in your head for how somebody should sound, seems reasonable. You should have input
Yeah,
into
but I mean,
who sounds the
technically,
part.
there's no reason why my thought for how they should sound would be better than a producer's who knows what voice is going to sell thought on what they should sound like. I think technically their choice, but I think what they do is they mix both, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I end up with is samples of people that they thought would sound. And sometimes at the beginning they ask me what I think, like in writing. So I send like, I say older, raspy, whatever. No
Yeah.
kindness was I sent like half page descriptions of what I
Mm-hmm.
thought these people would sound like. From education, province, where they're from, accent,
Yeah.
age, whatnot. No kindness is amazing. I mean, I'm
That's a radio
I hate.
play is always how I word that. I was
Yeah.
like, No Kindness is
Yeah,
a
and
straight up radio
the
play.
production, even like the transitions between the chapters, and in the way I wrote it, the beginning of each chapter, but it's only audio, so
Yeah.
um, is some interview in a private room, and then you have some that is like in the future, basically from what you're going to hear, that references what you're going to hear now with a bunch of people in the room. And they did like something to change the sound quality, so you realize you've gone from that
Mm,
place
yeah.
space to this one. It's kind of super well done, and it's it's Amazon, and it's but the Audible people did an amazing job
Yeah.
on it. I mean you can't. I got to credit where credit is due. The audio
It's
prod
so
on this
good.
is cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that
And I
one you have no
believe
choice.
it's
It's audio
yeah.
and or nothing.
I believe it's free for Audible subscribers. It
I
used
It
to
believe
is.
that
used
is
to
the
be.
case.
I
Yeah.
think it
Or
is
you
still
need to be some sort of Audible subscriber, but I
yeah.
mean, it's free for most people. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called No Kindness Too Soon.
So good.
And it's
It's only like two
one
and a
of those.
half hours. Like it's a
Yeah,
shorter.
that's the thing. The Audible originals are except for like few exceptions, are usually around 2 to 3 hours because it's the best bang for buck that
Yeah.
they get, and they realize people listen to it in environments that sort of, I don't know, encourage this kind of length.
Yeah. Interesting.
So,
All right. Nice.
the thing is, I'm allowed to publish No Kindness Too Soon on paper,
Oh.
but it's weird because it can't. The reason I agreed to this thing when Audible called uh, is because I could do something I'd never done before. I'd done unattributed dialogue before, which is essentially what you had to do
Yeah.
there but with someone with a voice. So if you do unattributed dialogue on a page, you could have two, maybe three, maybe four people if you give them like, one of them has a stutter and one of them is in bold, but you can't pile it up. But if
Yeah.
you have someone with an accent and like someone who sounds like a man or a woman or a child or whatever, and you
Yeah.
can have 50 people if you want. It's kind of amazing. So I got to write unattributed dialogue, but like without the leash.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. The downside to this is it's super weird to publish on paper. It would read like a play.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Ironically, one guy who did big, not Broadway, but what's Broadway in the UK?
West End.
West End plays wanted to adapt No
Mm.
Kindness on stage because
That'd be
literally
cool.
no,
Oh,
it's cool. It
hell
works.
yeah.
In French, we say huis clos, but it's all in one room.
Yeah.
It's very, I mean, it's heavily inspired by uh, his master's voice from Stanislav Lem, which is about sort of the weirdness of and politics of science, but
Yeah.
also by 12 Angry Men, and the setting itself is sort of
Yeah.
really lends itself to a play. Anyway,
That'd be super
yes,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
yep,
I'd go see it.
Yeah. Bring it to Mirvish
me
in
too.
Toronto. We'll pitch it to Mirvish.
Bring it to
That's
Teacup in Saskatchewan.
Okay. Sure. No. That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, No Kindness Too Soon, like, listen, maybe it's because it's, I mean, all of them, because it's audio, like, it plays out. But that one, like, vividly in my head was there. Like, I could see everything. And I think it's because of, like, that production of having the
super
extra
well done.
noises and everything that I was like,
Yep.
oh, it feels like I'm in the room. After last time you were on, you teased that a new book was coming, and then the next day it was like, oh, and here it is.
There you
Yes, you
go.
beat us to the punch.
Yeah, I
So I'm
love
gonna
it.
Seems
tease
fair. I
that a
mean, like,
cover is coming for that book, and it's friggin' awesome.
Will the moment
And
we're
probably
allowed
tomorrow
words.
we'll have an announcement with the cover.
Ooh. Yeah, right? Like we'll just
tomorrow
line this up.
as of the release of this episode, or tomorrow as of us recording this episode?
No, it would be, yeah, this time we can't really. Last time I cheated a little bit and we got kind of lucky on it.
Yeah, we got
This I
Yeah,
can't,
for
I
real.
can't share the
no,
cover
that's
yet, but I'm
fine.
Yeah.
guessing it
I
would be tomorrow after the release of this episode type of thing.
Mm,
I mean, it's
okay.
still
Well,
like,
that's only this week. But
that's the part that really gets me is I wrote that book like, I was like, I don't know, 21. I
yeah.
was like a year and a half ago, 2 years, I don't know, but I wrote that book like ages ago. That book is like it when people talk about that book, I have to like remember what's in it because it was like a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm writing other books right now, many other books, it's like old, and it will come out like in slightly less than a year,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
that's super depressing for me. But if you think about it, before all that, so we'll get a cover release, which should be soon. I mean, I'm guessing very soon. And then eventually it'll go on pre-order. So I will at least be allowed to talk
I
about
was
that book.
just looking at whether or not it was on pre-order. I'm
No,
like,
it does not
Indigo,
exist.
you
So
got it yet?
yeah, is it even in your system?
It's not. I
so
haven't
no, it's
checked the
not there.
back system now.
Hmm.
So then I'll bug everybody to just like because I want that book too. I'm
Yeah, we'll
okay.
blast
So I
it.
mean, my Excel sheet took a hit because of the pandemic.
Right.
This one can't, you know, doesn't have to beat Themis, but it has to work.
We'll yell
Like
it
it
from the.
sort of really does. It's one of
Yeah,
those things. Yeah.
we'll be screaming
So
it.
it's like you need to go to your local bookstore when it's available to pre-order and say I'd like to pre-order one copy, and you need to convince a friend ideally to do the same because when the store has two pre-orders for it, they'll obviously order more than two,
Yeah.
and they could order four or five or six or seven, and if they order six or seven, it will stop being like two copies sideways in the
You
alphabetical
want that
thing to a
facing.
thing that is face up, and
Yeah.
then it changes your life sales wise when things are face up instead of sideways
And
for
I
a
mean,
variety of reasons. From the obvious one is because customers see it. The less obvious one but more important one is because the staff will see it, and they'll read it and then they'll recommend it. And without the staff, you don't sell books ever. Like you can be, George R. Martin and sell books without the staff, but Stephen King and whatnot. But other than that, you need the staff.
the key is not
So
even to have the facing. The key is to have so many books on the shelf that the staff is actually can't shelve it and then has to put it
on a
somewhere else
table,
more. Yeah, exactly. That's the
yep.
real
On-
secret to it is when my staff go, I order all your books and we have like probably at minimum 5 copies of all your books and then they yell at me of like, where am I putting these? And I'm like, where do you think you are putting them? You're putting
and
them in the
cat.
staff picks. Yeah, you're putting them on an end cap. You're putting them in the staff pick. If
Yep.
you're in Canada right now, we have all of the like all the indigos have the Canadian bays and tables, so you're all
Yeah.
over those because I can put
At
that
my
fun
Indigo, the
sticker on it.
Canadian thing is actually not super cool from like
Uh,
foot
where
traffic
they is?
perspective.
Yeah,
Um, in Scotland though, that was friggin' amazing. Like, they had new books, but they all had Sleeping Giants like on a table
yeah.
in the middle of the store 9 years after it published. It's like, yeah,
Yes, I love it.
it's cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and
I'm
also
I'm notoriously terrible.
pre-orders. Oh, I was gonna say
I'm,
pre-orders
I'm
save
notoriously
tickets.
terrible.
But yeah,
Eventually, we're
when
gonna
I mean
say this.
I need this book. I really need this book to. I love this book. It's a
Yeah,
good book,
we'll
but
get
I
it.
need this one to work. It doesn't have to work miracles, but it has to work. It
Yeah,
really does. Otherwise, my life becomes very much more complicated afterwards.
yeah. We'll
Uh,
get you on just before and we'll get you on after. We'll do it so it's like we do a spoiler free one ahead of it and then we'll do a spoiler everyone who's read it
Yeah,
joins it
full
again.
yeah,
dive.
we're gonna stretch the limits on this one. Like, I will suggest that if someone owes you $20, maybe they could owe you 18 or 15 and pre-order the book. That'd be cool.
There you go.
I
Uh,
am
yeah.
notoriously terrible at getting people to read books. So maybe this will be the next one that I'm
This will be it.
notoriously terrible at getting people to
There
read
was
books.
a store where I bought a bicycle for my don't know how many X to add to X, but I don't know, girlfriend. I was in my 20s, but you could buy the bicycle for like, I don't know, $200, or you could give him like 4 bottles of Marques de Riscal or whatever. Whatever. It was always a bit much
Barter
better deal to
system.
do the wine thing, but you had to like bring him physical bottles,
Yeah.
which is kind of amazing. But you'd save like 40% on the bike. Um,
There you go.
that was kind of cool. So
We'll get it. We'll do it.
there's
Which,
there's a way to make people pay with
yeah.
copies of the mini. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The many. Everybody look for it. We will blast it when it hits pre-order.
Yeah,
We'll make
you
sure
won't be
we
able to
do.
not
So
hear about it on this channel.
yeah.
And you'll want to get people to get the many of the many.
The many of the many. Will there be
I will only
multiple
buy one of every
languages
copy
and
that's
colors?
available.
I was about to say, so that I can do what I did. I didn't do it as much for History of What Next. I only have like 3 or 4 different ones. Rather than Themis files, I've got like, I don't know, 25. The many,
This
maybe
book is
that's the next
the
one I
mini is a
do.
standalone, right? So there's no like waiting for books 2 and 3 or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely a one book thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and okay, so imagine you had seen a preview of the cover. Like there's so many things you can do with it, right? You could do special editions. It could be some with like, I don't know, fur,
Mm-hmm.
glitter, whatever. Yeah.
Look, sprayed edges. Sprayed edges are crazy nowadays.
Sprayed edges
And
are
you can do them
huge right
yourself.
now.
Yep.
The version I'm holding right now, which is not the best for video, is I'm doing the
Yeah, it's
History Book
real
Next.
glossy.
It's like a
That's not the book.
somebody
It's the
sent
thing
me
they put
this
on it to
one.
preserve the book. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you gave me this one, Sylvain. I think the Red
Goldsboro?
Helldiver gave me this one. I think
Maybe.
I don't think
It's cool. I love that cover.
yeah.
It's kind of amazing. I mean, and if
With
you
the sprayed
remove the
edges.
Goldsboro protective thing for
Yeah.
like archival
Well, I
glossy
had
thing. Yeah.
the not
Yeah,
sprayed
but
edges.
Skipper has a history
Okay.
degree.
Yeah.
I have it normal, and then I've got the sprayed edges. But this one's got your signature. Well, they all have your signature. This version has it's numbered
What number do you have?
394 out of 500. But again,
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't give me this one. Somebody sent me. I believe this was the Red Helldiver that people who do Red Rising know. This one's gonna
I
be, I
have
assume, signed.
I
You gave
have
me this one.
author I
This
have
one
my
you
author
gave me.
copies of this, and I have 2 sets of the Goldsboro
Ooh,
editions of this
two.
that match in number, like
I
all 3 books.
Yeah, I only have the first one.
Yeah. That someday I will like sell for a
Yeah,
good cause or whatever.
yeah.
Um, I'm
Well,
trying to like use them for good like purpose, but they
yeah,
will get more out of them when I'm more in the news than
yeah,
now. So
for sure.
yeah.
Well, for the many, we'll get it. We'll get you some special editions, and people can just buy multiple copies so that they can spray edge their own version. And then when you accidentally screw it up, just buy a new copy.
Or
That's
we can
cool.
make special editions, like like I get a
Well,
box of them, and here I have my son's homework for the year. We're trying to get rid of his stuff, so I can glue some of that
I was gonna say you normally also have really cool
on
book
it.
plates. I
Or
bet
I could
you
get
could
like
do book
I don't know,
plates.
you buy like one of those like faux fur rugs, and we just like stick a piece of fur
We
on
could
it,
get.
and it's like
We should
fuzzy book
hold a
now.
contest of who can make the most special edition.
Yes, we should. Yep.
Who can make the most many
Do we
special
have
editions?
any idea on when this is happening so I can write it in a calendar and remember for later these notes?
Well, the release is spring 2026.
Okay. So meet
All right.
back in a year and we'll hold a contest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spring has been good for me so far. My return to spring feels good to me.
Yeah.
Uh, Tennis Files was
Those are all April's. Oh yeah, May.
May and April.
Yep.
April.
Yep.
Um, uh, Take Him to the Stars was February.
Hmm.
Less kind to me, but it has nothing to do with the month, more to do with
Yeah.
like 3 billion people are dying, and
Yeah.
you
The
have to
test,
wash your
though, was
cereal.
January or February because it was a snowstorm. I remember it was a
The
snowstorm when
test?
it hit. Yeah.
I think it's
Always a
February.
snowstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's
There was
also
nobody in the
Tor.com. I
store.
was like spotted in the
Yeah.
February thing.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Well,
Mhm.
we'll make sure. So with the many, I'll also make sure that we put this ahead of everyone who's tuned out for the spoilers. We'll rearrange some things here so that everyone who ditched sees this. Wow. This kind of all talking about all your works. I'm gonna get into spoiler territory. So if people
Hell yeah.
have not finished Themis Files and have not finished Take Them to the Stars, we need you to leave. This
Yeah.
is your warning.
Get out of
Spoiler
here.
ahead.
Please,
Yeah.
please come back. But
But
get.
but yeah. My question is, when did the idea come up of overlapping the two of them?
Oh, God.
The epilogue is we suddenly have the two
Do you want to
series.
know?
They're in the same universe.
Okay. Long before I started writing the first book, I have these pages of what do you call those? They're like for project management, and they show you when one task ends and
Yep.
begins in the other one. And they're called Gantt diagrams.
Okay.
So I have these Gantt diagrams of Themis file events and Kipsu events. They came to the stars events that I need to fit in,
Yeah.
even though it's never originally it would never, like, you'd never have known anything. The original plan was not to have that final second epilogue.
Yeah.
I mean, for one thing, it's a friggin' second epilogue. It's called
Yeah.
Epilogue 2 because I can. But the plan was not to have Epilogue 2. The plan was for you to know nothing.
Okay.
But I wrote, and the moment where people in the Take 'Em to the Star series are born is specifically chosen not for the events in that series,
Okay.
for the events in the other series
Yeah.
that takes place after.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
like it.
it's all because I could spoil way more than what's in the end of the book, but that's like a mini spoiler. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my idea was then to do a bridge book. Yeah.
Okay.
And at this point, it's kind of complicated because Themis Files was published with Del Rey, which is part of Random House, and Take 'Em to the Stars was published to much lesser success because of the pandemic by Tor.com, which is part of Macmillan. And it's fine. Like, no, neither of them own any. Like, no one owns the characters or anything. I could publish a Themis Files book with anyone tomorrow, and that's okay. But it would sort of be natural for at least one of these two
Yeah.
to do it. But both of them are sort of less inclined to do a book that will plug in the other one's series. I thought it made sense from a marketing point of view.
Yeah.
Take the series that didn't sell as much and connect it to the series that sold a lot, and then you can sell more of the series that didn't sell as much. But I don't make these decisions. But no one went for it. But anyway, there is a plan to someday write the book in question. And the book is called The Interviewer.
Oh, okay.
That is the bridge book.
Yeah.
So, call your state representatives.
Call your MPs.
What the fuck is that?
your members of parliament,
But
people.
yeah, so anyway, that was the plan. And so when the plan failed, I shoved in that because I wanted it to be canon. I wanted the,
Yeah.
because I mean, the sort of like, the corporate response was a negative on both sides. But I wanted the move to go through, and I wrote the second thing to just make it canon that these two things are connected. And didn't know if it would survive edits, but it did, and now it's there.
Nice. I love
Yep.
it.
It's out in the
That was
world.
Because
it was like mind blowing
before
to
I
me. I
wrote
was
that
like, oh
series,
shit.
I also wrote all the lost files for the
Right.
Themis files, right? Those free chapters that are available
Yeah.
online. And it's
Which I still have to go find.
the last one does ask a lot of questions. Uh, because it has dialogue that is written in a different font.
Right.
Uh, After the events of books 2 and 3. So it suggests that either something must have happened.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I
And
like
all
it.
these questions would be answered
Ah,
in The Interviewer.
I like it. I'm calling all of my publishing friends. I'm telling them. Get it. I love it. So then, does the test and No Kindness Too Soon, are they also in the same universe, or are they completely they happening at some point, or are they just one-offs?
I think I
See, I don't
tried to fit
think
in
we
the
tell them
test,
all.
but like I don't know what I fit it in, but I mean it would be, the thing is my shit is happening in our universe, right? So
Right.
unless I unconnect them, technically, it's not. But you could say it's a different. The thing is, you would assume because of different book series, the
Yeah.
Earth that exists in this one, even though it's identical to our own, would be slightly different from the one that exists
Yeah.
over there. But I think I tried to plug in the name of the dentist in the test in one of the books, but I forgot I did it for real or not.
That's
So,
funny.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
I like it. Yep.
But it
The
wouldn't change
Neuvel
anything. I mean, I could
multiverse.
say that I could say the test is, well. I mean, yeah, politically it would fit super well with like the third book in the Themis Files. It would
Yeah,
like
for
not
sure.
affect things too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Crescent hasn't read the test, I don't think, so we can't spoil.
I actually have.
Oh, look
I have.
at
I
you.
have read both the
Proud of
test
you.
and No Kindness Too Soon. Well, listened,
Nice.
obviously.
Listen to.
But
Yeah.
I have a question for you though. So
Okay.
when you read for the first time again, which is book 3 of Take Them to the
Yeah.
Stars, we hadn't like I hadn't spoiled it for you or anything. So
No.
what did you think when you came across Epilogue 2?
Oh, I
Which
flipped
even comes,
out.
I think, after the acknowledgments, which is
I
like
think
even
so.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I freaked out when I was like, "Oh shit." Like, yeah. I freaked out because I think it anyone who hasn't read Themis Files, it's like, okay, that's cool, but like being a fan of Themis Files and knowing then exactly, it's like, okay, and it does almost ramp up to like it feels like there should be something else that it's like, okay, like I want
yeah,
to know
where's the
what's
team up
happening
movie?
here. Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah, I
know,
freaked out. That's why we included this question because I'm like,
I
oh, I
was
love it.
so friggin' happy when they let it slide at the publisher, knowing that the
Yeah.
reason for it was not going to happen or whatever. Is you can't imagine the joy that I felt typing the 3 words kung pao and chicken.
I love it.
'Cause- yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also,
So
uh, now, okay, you really have to leave now if you don't want spoilers.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. We're just going full in.
yeah,
yeah,
Mr. Burns had always had a sort of, I don't know, easy audience in the Themis Files. Like
Yeah.
they can be annoyed, but they're not gonna challenge him in any way for plenty of reasons. Whatever. Aster is the best audience for for Mr. Burns. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It'll be so
I
good.
think the way she handles him is it's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. Crescent, did you
after
pick up on what
school.
was happening?
Oh yes, yeah. I was setting up a new Starbucks, and I'm like almost alone in this building, and I'm listening. I'm listening to the end of this book, and I'm like, oh fuck, yes,
Yeah.
like out
Oh, when you do
loud
it when you
on a
do it
work
in
site.
audio,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they don't. My audio people don't fuck around. They wrote to me to
brutal.
confirm that the guy who voiced Mr. Burns was really this dude, and they hired the dude.
That was
So
the
Fuck yeah,
perfect thing. Yeah. That you're like, yeah.
like, yeah,
not anybody. Like, I mean, it's literally the voice actor for Mr.
the
Burns
same
and the
guy.
voice
Yeah,
actress for Aster,
Yeah.
just having at it.
Yeah.
Kung Pao chicken.
I love
yeah.
it.
It was great,
So
and
good.
uh, I basically as soon as he started talking about a university in Rose, I'm like, oh well, like there it is. And then yeah, Kung Pao Chicken. I was like, fuck yes.
At first, like I said at the beginning, and you're like, you still don't know what's happening, and then you're like, no, no, no. What she wants is she'll have the Kung Pao chicken and the green
Yeah.
tea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
perfect. I love it. I
yeah.
love it
No,
so
I
much.
love that. It was great.
Yeah.
So good.
Was yep.
Yeah. I hope
Now
we
we're
one
gonna
day get
shout
that.
the interviewer from the rooftops, and
Yeah. I hope we
it's
one day
gonna
get
go
that.
And it's
nowhere
tiny,
because
but
we
it was
have no
like
pull.
from where I was. It was like it's like one of those. You no one ever really tells you what to write. They never do, right? Even during edits, they say, I don't like this, but if you really fight for it, they'll leave it there, right? Whatever. But every time someone changes one word, like in your thing, and you write stet, you do feel like you're like a rebel, and you're like someone that someone in 300 trying to defend the passage from the
Yeah.
Mhm.
thousands of people who want to go through. Stet is a strong word, so that extra epilogue was my yeah
Yeah.
my
It
way
was your
of
300
Was your
moment.
hot gates? Yeah.
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 I love
It
it.
was technically part of a chapter that was going to be in something else. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that may or may not have been titled "The Interviewer."
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I love it. Yeah. Well, we look forward to that. If
Creative
you're
editing.
still watching, we greatly appreciate you and for reading everything that you've managed to come this far and didn't have to worry about spoilers. There's quite a few people from the Howler's Den that read everything.
I just saw my
Bobbin,
face.
Mirage.
I I just looked at my camera feed. I'm red. I
You're fine.
I'm super red. I was in the It's complicated, and I'm like not red all the way down. And I have an amazing explanation for this.
Okay.
I was trying to seal the edges of the stones and the cocktail
Okay.
pool because in between some of the stones there's rocks coming in and they go into the
Right.
pool. So I was putting in some silicone to just seal the hole, and it took like 3 hours. But
Are you burnt?
it's in the pool, and you have to it's above the water. So I had my head all the way down here. Hence, this is still white
I like
to
it.
put the silicone. Yeah.
This is why sunscreen
I
exists.
was just going to attribute it to the fact that you have lighter facial hair than the red of your skin, and I was just gonna assume
No,
that
I was
your
like
face was
I spent
sunburnt all the
literally
way
like
down.
4 hours in my pool or three. Like one of those what do you call them? Like Navy SEALs, except without the makeup.
Yeah.
The frogmen, yeah.
I like it. Nice.
No,
All right.
Yeah, you will
Well,
never know how deeply I understand that.
I'm literally like a Navy SEAL, really. If you forget skills and health
And
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 training
how
and
the pool is only 4 feet deep.
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, we just
yeah,
have to forget that part. It'll be fine.
all of it, and the Navy and
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah. Whatever
yeah,
makes it be there. Okay. Like it. Well, thank you for joining us today.
yes.
This has been fantastic.
Thank you for having me today.
Always, whenever you want to come back, we will host you.
Yeah, for real. We'll just like
you can come on for a
get drunk
ridiculous
and
episodes.
chat shit nights.
Yeah, I like it. We
I'm
could do
doing
like
all right.
I know you hate those.
yeah, drunken nights. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you everybody for
Something leopard print.
listening.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out if you've managed to get this far. I assume you've read everything, but other than check out also the test and No Kindness Too Soon, and pre-order the many. We will let you know the moment you can do it. I will have.
You won't be able to avoid.
Yeah.
When it
Also, if you
becomes
go to my
available pre-order.
website,
Oh yeah.
Neuvel.net, at the very bottom, there's a sign up for my newsletter.
Perfect.
It's not really a newsletter because I write like every 2 years, but
I was gonna say
once, it's a sign up. So once in a blue moon, you will get an email from me
for the many pre-order because you'll know
Yeah.
before I do. Yep, I like it. Well, there be arcs. We'll talk about this after. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.